Hello again, everyone. It is Coleman Swartz with Better Business Bureau serving Central East Texas, and we are taking care of business. And the man I'm talking to today knows all about business. He is Mr. John Hart with SourceFunding, LLC, here in Tyler, Texas, but serving a lot of the East Texas area. So, Mr. Hart, how are you doing today? Thank you for joining.
Doing great.
So,
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, we'd love. Thank you for being on. Give us a brief idea of your background when it comes to financing and kind of how you got into the business.
Well, that's a really long story. I'll give you a very short version of it. I was a CPA in private practice in the 80s, and all the banks started having problems in Tyler and East Texas refinancing debt. So I investigated the programs of the Small Business Administration and very quickly learned that there was not a lot of help out there for small business clients. We started taking Tyler businesses, East Texas businesses to Dallas and placing them with the largest SBA lender in the state. And 4 years later, I sold my CPA practice, and I've been a full-time loan professional in the SBA arena for the last 30 years.
All right, so I think this would qualify you as an expert, at least knowledgeable on the subject. A lot of talk in the last few weeks about the Payroll Protection Program, the federal program designed to help businesses, ideally small businesses, handle the loss in revenue and whatnot from the current crisis. What was your experience the last, say, 2 or 3 weeks in the PPP, and was it positive, and what did you learn out of that?
Well, we investigated it early on before the program ever came out, and we were going to work for borrowers, assisting them in getting these PPP loans. When the rules came out, it said we can't work for borrowers because we can't be paid by borrowers because they didn't want it to cost borrowers anything.
Sure.
So we ended up working for banks. So we worked for 5 East Texas, DFW area combination banks. And we processed over $40 million in PPP loans in the last 3 weeks.
Wow.
Some 200 borrowers. And they ranged anywhere from $4 or $5 million down to, I think the smallest one I had was $4,700. So we took on all comers. It was very difficult because when the program was announced, there was a tsunami of requests. I would get several requests with large files per minute. And so it was such a volume that my mailbox went over quota, started bouncing people. There were applications that got lost because I couldn't handle them. Got with my IT guy, and we changed email addresses to where we handle the business. And I recruited 4 other people who were either CPAs or loan professionals to assist me in taking care of these loans for 5 banks. It was an amazing experience. We were working 12 to 14 hour days, and we didn't get to everybody. We had over 500 requests. We ended up completing about 200 applications.
Do you feel, and this obviously just your opinion, your scenario is probably not unique to a lot of folks who were in your position. I think the system got pretty overwhelmed pretty quick. I think that'd be a true statement, correct?
Yeah, not only the borrowers struggled with getting through to their banker, banks struggle with just the sheer volume of requests that they had, and they just didn't have the staff and they didn't have the manpower to handle the request. We provided an outsource for the banks to provide an additional opportunity to handle some of their clients, and it was a very rewarding experience.
What was when
I had people call up in tears?
Oh, really?
Their business was shut, their doors were shut, they couldn't see customers, they couldn't prepare food for restaurant customers. It was a traumatic experience, which many borrowers experience.
What was kind of the common question when borrowers came to you, maybe unsure of what to do, unsure of what to expect? What was the common question you got when it came to, am I even eligible, or how is my money going to get here, or how much? What was the same thing you kept seeing over and over?
Well, the biggest problem was that when the program came out, the government changed the application 3 times. They initially were going to include 1099 contract labor employees. That was eliminated because contractors could do their own PPP, and they changed it to just payroll, W-2 employees. So all of the information we initially requested from the borrowers, we didn't need much of it at all. Yeah. All we needed was W-2s, W-3, 940, and W-2s for anybody making over $100,000, because the program is capped for employees making over $100,000. And so we could turn an application in 15 minutes, but on some it would take an hour or 2 because there was various complexity in the various applications.
What I'm taking some notes here just based on what you said, so we can hopefully share with people should they have any questions. Let's be positive and assume that there is another round of this coming. I know there have been talks of the federal government of potentially a second round. I don't know if it will be structured the same. Based on what you told me, they can change it. It's likely to be changed. Whatever gets finished would be changed anyway. What do people need to know or be prepared for a second round? What advice would you give folks that, hey, this is how you should go about the second round of funding should it happen, what you should be prepared to do?
Prepare to have your payroll documents for 2019 at your disposal.
Yeah.
I'm talking about your 940 year-end tax form, your W-3, your W-2s, and make sure you're using the right application. There's 3 of them that have come out. We want the most recent version. We have never stopped preparing applications. We are preparing applications today for several of our banks. They feel confident that there's going to be a new round of funding, and we're going to have applications ready to submit to SBA when it opens up, hopefully on Wednesday or Thursday.
Yeah, obviously the sooner, I think we all agree, the sooner the better we can get help to some of these businesses is ideal. Let me ask you a kind of a sidebar question. What qualifies a bank to be one of these lenders? You mentioned you worked with five banks. What would qualify a bank to be an approved lender of the program versus one that might not be approved?
If a lender has done or can do an SBA loan, and has what's called a 750 agreement in place, they can do these loans. So every bank out there can do it. If the bank does not have a 750 agreement in place, there's an expedited process at SBA to sign them up and to allow them to do these loans. And
I don't want to go on too long. I think you've hit a lot of the key points people have wondered. And this is more of a question, maybe not there's a direct answer. Even if things open back up as we think they're going to happen soon, I think the timeline on getting back to where we were before is going to take longer than people might think. Just because you open up doesn't necessarily mean you're in business. Do you see these loans continuing to happen maybe over a much longer time frame, even though businesses are open?
Technically, the program goes through June 30th.
Okay.
So as long as the money holds out, applications will be received by SBA through June 30th.
Okay.
There's another program out there that people haven't heard too much about. It's called the Main Street Program.
Okay.
And the Main Street Program is to help larger businesses with up to 10,000 employees. And businesses can borrow from $1 million to $25 million under that program. It is a loan. There's no forgiveness on that one, but it's at a very good interest rate, 2.5% to 4%. And we are just starting to explore going into those types of loans.
And just so people are clear, the PPP, Paycheck Protection, it is a forgivable loan if used for very specific purposes, correct?
That is correct. And so borrowers need to keep records very accurately from the day the loan money is put in their account for the next 8 weeks.
Okay.
And they can get reimbursed for money that they spend on payroll, benefits, rent, mortgage interest, and utilities.
Okay.
If it's not spent on those 5 things, it stays in their loan and it becomes a 2-year loan.
Go over those one more time. Payroll, benefits, rent, mortgage interest, and what was the 5th one?
Utilities.
Utilities. Okay.
And utilities includes every type of utility, from internet to
keeping the lights
security
on.
systems, to water and power.
Okay. So folks who get this loan, and what is the payback rate or whatnot? Should you use it for something else? What do you happen to know the numbers on that? Should they deviate and give that money? Obviously, we don't want people to do that. This is for those purposes.
It becomes a 2-year loan.
Okay.
At 1%.
Okay. So
payments deferred for the first year.
Even that, and I hate to say, even that's not the worst thing. Deferred payment at 1%. But I think that was to hopefully avoid people getting this money and then giving out bonuses or spending it recklessly on things that weren't necessarily part of what the plan was supposed to be.
And there's no prepayment penalty, so they can pay back what they don't use without a penalty.
Okay, great. Well, Mr. Hart, is there anything else? Is there anything else that you've seen in the last 2-3 weeks, maybe 2 or 3 months, that you think people should be aware of when it comes to this program or other programs, or maybe anticipating future programs?
No, all I can say is just be patient. I've had people call in almost every day saying, my bank can't get to me. You're just going to have to stick with your bank and be patient with them. Most banks are only doing these loans for their own customers. They're not doing them for customers of other banks. And therefore, you've got to work with your lender and your bank and get in line and wait for them to get to processing your loan.
Should people want to reach out to you, they have questions, what's some contact information? You said you're overwhelmed, you're flooded, but you never know who might get through, who you might be able to help. How would they be able to reach you, Mr. Hart, at SourceFunding?
The best way to do it is my website. Go to sourcefundingtexas.com and approach us through the website. We do more than just loans. We do small business grants, nonprofit grants, and nonprofit fundraising. So we've got a team of 7 professionals with a lot of experience.
Mr. Hart, we appreciate you. We've taken about 15 minutes here, 20 minutes. I think we've covered, at least on a broad spectrum, what the PPP has been about. Will it remain? We don't know. The government works in mysterious ways sometimes. We're not really sure about it, but we do appreciate you being an advocate for businesses here in East Texas and helping them get the help they need. If it helps them stay open a month, 2 months, 5 months, 6 months, that's what it's here for. And hopefully one day soon, when it's safe again, everybody can be roaring back and do everything. But we appreciate you we appreciate you being with us today. And by golly,
I'm honored to be with you.
Yeah, by golly, keep up the good work. Folks, if you have any questions, you have his website down there. I put it on the bottom of the screen. You can visit the website, or you can always email me. My email is at the bottom of the screen as well. Mr. Hart, thank you. We appreciate you. Folks, y'all have a great day.
Have a blessed day.
Yep, we're taking care of business. Y'all have a great day.